We've got a big problem that is buffered by some reserves, and we have to hang on to those reserves so that we can fund this state for the next few years as we try to find our way to a more diverse revenue source. The process that we went through, everyone knows it. You start with the governor, and he made some cuts, and that makes it a lot easier for us. And so I just want to congratulate the governor and thank you for making our process easy. Not easy, easier. Also want to thank his OMB director, Ms. Pitney. We all know her. She was a gem to work with, as were the commissioners and the deputy commissioners. So the bill goes to the House, and they start the process, and they cut out a whole bunch too, because they knew, as we know, that we have to make cuts. It's really all this budget was about. What's the driving force behind this budget? And then it came here, and we divided into subcommittees, as we always do. And in the 11 years that I've been here, I've always been on finance, or I've been one of the co-chairs of finance. And the subcommittee process has been deliberative, but often the recommendations aren't taken whole cloth. They usually aren't. And in fact, they weren't taken whole cloth in this process either. But I got to say that this budget that sits before you incorporated the actions and the deliberations of the subcommittees more than any one I've ever seen before. And I was really thankful to have not only subcommittee chairs but members who took their job very seriously. That means everybody in this room took their jobs very seriously and provided for the Finance Committee a fairly complete product. The amendment process that we went through, I've seen it go on for days and well into the night. But that didn't happen this time because most of the issues were worked out, and because we all get along pretty well here, most of the issues that weren't worked out, we made commitments that we'd either fix it in conference or we'd find a way to do it. So it is in some respects a consensus budget. I don't mean to speak for the minority because I know they're going to object to this. I think so based on what I heard from the amendment process. But nonetheless, it was somewhat of a consensus process, certainly the best I've seen. And it was the best I've seen in the face of the worst trouble I've seen. In the crummy horror movies, when the threat appears, the main characters all seem to start fighting. It's something that's always bothered me, but that didn't happen here. We have a threat that's looming out there, and people came together and they worked with each other. No storming out of offices, no slammed doors, mostly respectful, courteous behavior and speech between the members, both sides of the aisle. I appreciate it as the co-chair that had to deliver a product here today. So, not going to get too much beyond that. I just want to thank everyone and assure the people of Alaska that this was not something that was just slapped together. There was a lot of process here, and it's not over yet. It's going to go to a conference committee. And we have some room in this budget, and that was another thing that was very important to the Finance Committee, is that we leave ourselves some room, because we have seen this oil market do some pretty crazy things in the last year. And literally in the next few weeks, the bottom could drop out again, and we may need some of this room that we've created for conference committee. Mostly what I saw was that the problems that cropped up in the subcommittee process. It always happens. You find, oh gosh, we're cutting public broadcasting, but it's too much. And this subcommittee chairman came up with I thought, a very elegant solution. Didn't fix everything, but it fixed a lot. There was a couple little problems. I remember we were talking about the UAVs, the fact that Alaska sits on the threshold of being the premier research area for drones as we go into this new and highly competitive technology. Well, we kind of lost the money for that, or we ran out of money just as it was about to explode nationwide, And universities and agencies and the military all across the United States were looking to us to step into that research and to begin to create that market. Other issues dealing with the reading for the kids, the books that show up. Again, it was in subcommittee. There were a lot of problems about early childhood education. It came to subcommittee. Excuse me. It came to the full committee, and by the time it left our committee, that had been addressed somewhat. There were many other issues. I could go on for quite a while, but I won't. Point is, it was a process. We followed the rules. We did what was in the best interest of the state of Alaska, and we did it as colleagues. And I think the people of Alaska, as we go to the next step, beyond the conference committee, beyond the signing of the bill, and that is FY17, because we're probably going to have the same kind of problems. As we go into FY17, we have set a tone here to deal with pressing, clear and present dangers to the state of Alaska. We have set a precedent here that we will work together in the best interests of the state of Alaska, and I think essentially that is reflected in this budget.